The Steadfast Tin Soldier. There were once 25 tin soldiers made from the same old tin spoon. The first thing they heard was a little boy clapping his hands and crying, "Soldiers! Soldiers!" It was this little boy's birthday, and the soldiers were his gift, so he spared no time in setting them up on the table. All the soldiers were exactly alike except for one who only had one leg, for he was made last and there was not quite enough tin left to finish him. However, he stood just as well on his one leg as the others did on two. There were many other toys in the room, but what caught the eye of the one-legged tin soldier was a delightful paper castle that had a little maiden standing at the castle's door. The maiden was wearing a beautiful spangle. She, too, was cut out of paper and was stretching both arms, for she was a dancer. In her dancer's pose, one of her legs was raised so high into the air that it was invisible to the tin soldier. He supposed that she, like him, had just one leg. She would be the perfect wife for me, he thought. But she is much too grand. She lives in a castle while I only have a box, and then there are 25 of us to share it. But yet I must try to meet her. So he hid full length behind a snuff box which stood on the table and waited for the perfect opportunity to meet her. Late in the evening, the other soldiers were put back into the box, and the people of the house went to bed. Now was the time for the toys to play. Every toy jumped and danced, except for the tin soldier and the little dancer. She stood as stiff as ever on tiptoe, and he was equally firm on his one leg, not taking his eyes off of her for one moment. When the clock struck 12, up flew the lid of the snuff box, and a little black goblin popped out from the inside. "Tin soldier," said the goblin, "keep your eyes to yourself." But the tin soldier feigned not to hear. "Tomorrow you'll be sorry," said the goblin. In the morning, when the children got up, they put the tin soldier on the window frame. And whether it was caused by the goblin or by a puff of wind, the window burst open and the soldier fell head first from the 3rd story down to the wet street. After a while, 2 children found the tin soldier. "He shall go for a sail," one said. So they made a boat out of newspaper, put the soldier in it, and they saw him sail away down the gutter on the wet street. All at once the boat drifted under a long wooden tunnel, and it became as dark as it was in his box. "Where on earth am I going to now?" he thought. "It is all the fault of that goblin. Oh, if only the little maiden were with me." At that moment, a big water rat that lived in the tunnel appeared. "Have you a pass?" asked the rat. The tin soldier did not speak, but clung tighter to his gun. The boat rushed on as the rat ran close behind him. "Stop him! Stop him! He hasn't paid the toll!" screamed the rat. But the current grew stronger and stronger, and the tin soldier could already see daylight before him at the end of the tunnel. But he also heard a roaring sound that could strike terror in the bravest heart. Yet the poor tin soldier held himself as stiff as he could and didn't wince. The boat swirled round 3 or 4 times and filled with water. The tin soldier stood up to his neck in water as the boat sank deeper and deeper. At last the water went over his head, and he thought pretty little dancer, whom he was never to see again. As the soldier was sinking, he was swallowed by a big fish. "How dark it is inside this fish! It is worse than being in the tunnel," he thought. But he stayed dauntless, shouldering his gun. After some time it became quite quiet, and he saw a flash of lightning. The soldier was once more in the broad daylight, and he heard a voice call out loudly, "A tin soldier!" The fish had been caught and brought into the kitchen, where the cook cut it open with a large knife. She took the soldier and carried him into the parlor. She set him up on the table, and wonders of wonders, he found himself in the very same room that he had been in before. The same toys were still standing on the table, as well as the beautiful castle with the pretty little dancer. She still stood on one leg and held the other up in the air. The soldier was so moved that he was about to shed tears of tin, but that would not have been fitting. He looked at her and she looked at him, but they never said a word. At this moment, one of the little boys, without reason, threw the tin soldier into the fire. No doubt the little goblin in the snuff box was to blame for that. The tin soldier stood there in the most horrible heat. But whether it was the heat of the real fire or the warmth of his feelings for the dancer, he did not know. He looked at the little maiden and she looked at him. A door was suddenly opened. The draft caught the little dancer and she flooded like a sylph straight into the fire. To the soldier, was lit up by the fire and was gone. By this time, the soldier was reduced to a mere lump of coal. When the maid took away the ashes the next morning, she found him in the shape of a small tin heart. All that was left of the dancer was her spangle that was burnt as black as coal. The tin soldier and the dancer lived together forever in their ashes. The end.